two, guys. AC Lee and Parlay Pete podcast. You know, I don't have any cool audio to bring in for hour two like I did for hour one, but Chris Paul is a free agent. React.
I'm not surprised. I think that we knew he was a I tell you what, I am surprised that they're releasing him today of all days. Like that they just decided to announce that he's getting cut today. Like, I mean, that was kind of a shocker, I guess. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility that he was going to get waived anyways because his guaranteed money was pretty much gone. And they were already, his cap hit was probably in the 30s, but because the guaranteed money on the contract was only like $12 million, they're going to save in that cap regard anyways. And maybe they just didn't think that they could find a trade partner. I thought that Chris Paul still had some value to where even if somebody just gave you, you know, for instance, Boston gives you their first round pick this year and it's like the 30th pick, 29th pick.
And Marcus Smart.
And I was thinking Smart too, would be because it would work for Phoenix to get a guy like Smart, move Devin Booker to the one, just let him run the point, at least as of now, until you figure out if there's another way you can do it. Smart can be your two. He's a D guy, kind of will do all the dirty work, and can make shots occasionally too. Like he's became a much better shooter than what I remember him being.
Oh yeah, he was a shooter at Oklahoma State.
Well, he was a hell of a basketball player in general. I mean, think about it. Marcus Smart was like the third pick in the draft, fourth pick. I mean, he's a top 5 pick.
I know he was that guy when he was.
I think he was 6. I don't remember.
If you talk, I'll look it up. But if you're gonna look it up, I'll talk.
I'm looking.
All right, yeah. Chris Paul gets waived.
6th pick.
6th pick. Yeah, he was fine in college. Like.
And actually, he could have came out his freshman year and didn't, and came back his sophomore year. And I think he was still projected to have been a top 5 pick type player even after his freshman year. And then he had that incident when he went to the crowd and they started fighting too. I remember that. But
he called the N-word.
Yeah, I know.
Then he got sent to Boston, so he defends the fans that call other players the N-word.
Hey, it always comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, Chris Paul gets waived. I think it makes sense. You look at the new CBA, it's not ratified yet, but from everything that's been reported on what's been agreed upon, it was going to be hard for Phoenix to make their roster better, carrying all of Chris Paul's salary. So go ahead and get rid of him to signal to other players and other agents, hey, if you got a point guard, boom. There could be some back deal trades being worked out. Chris Paul does. He is represented by CAA, which is the biggest agency in agencies. So God knows what privileged information is being shared in that building. That, you know, that's the real tampering. You know, it's not the goddamn GMs and players talking. It's the agents and talking to one player to another player, talking to one team about their player X, and then an agent from that same agency talking to the team about other player X, and they can put 2 and 2 together.
Based on current construction, give me your top 3 teams that you think are destinations for him.
Chris Paul?
Yes. I think we both already, of course, agree on one. Well, maybe even 2 of them.
I go Boston, Milwaukee. I'm not going to say the Lakers because age, injury.
But what about the LeBron factor? Lay GM.
I'm trying to think of where
Lay GM. And that position just so happened to basically be open.
Hey, you know what?
They're not going to pay. They're not paying D'Lo.
You know another good fit?
Who? Memphis.
No, I was going to say back to the Clippers.
I think Russ gets re-signed because of how, especially because of how strong his performances were. Now, granted, Kawhi was damn near out that whole series, and obviously there was no PG. He's the type of guy that they want because Russ is still – he showed that he's still capable of having your team while those guys aren't playing.
Great.
Producing a 500 type basketball team, even with him being that, like being himself.
Agreed.
That makes sense. Like he's capable of, he can steer the ship steady while those guys aren't playing. And plus, then you can actually purposely rest those guys on certain nights, which I guess they kind of were doing anyways. But you can still win games. Like you can rest them when they come to, it's a bad team. When they go to Orlando, you can sit those guys. And and Russ is good enough to win that game.
What type of deal do you think Chris Paul signs?
It depends on where he goes. If he goes to clearly, like even in a place like Boston, the veterans mid-level exception, it seems like that's kind of going to be his lot at this point. If he wants to win, that is. If he wants to get paid, like I said, there's a scenario to me where if James Harden walks, I can see the Sixers swooping in to try and get him. Like just
a 2 for $40 with a player option at the end of one.
Something like $20 million a year was kind of what I was thinking, because I feel like that's kind of like where Russ is at too. But obviously Russ has more tread on his tires than CP3.
Does he?
I think so. Russ, yeah. I do too. I mean, look, Russ still was averaging 17, 18 a game this year coming off the bench. So, like, I mean, his usage rate went down.
You send Russ to Utah, he could still be 25, 10, and 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just, just being funny.
Yeah.
What about CP3 going back to New Orleans?
Good fit. I would like that fit, because who's running the point there? Jose Alvarado,
a little bit of CJ, but he's not a real point.
Yeah, CJ's not really a point. So I guess CJ was kind of running the point. Like, that'd actually be a really good fit if Zion's asses be on the floor and not, fucking porn stars. But I think that would be a good fit too. That's an underrated fit. See, my three are this. I like Celtics, Lakers. Milwaukee makes a ton of sense too. Like, it just makes a lot of basketball sense. But because you could move Drew to the 2. You could do that. And of course, CP3 is not going to play 82 anyway. So it's like, Drew will be running point as well in reality. But maybe for a third team, oddly enough, I mean, I think a team like Memphis could use a guy like him, especially to kind of mentor Ja once he is done with his suspension, however long that's going to be. He could play well enough with the pieces around him. I don't know if he would want to live in Memphis or anything, but
he's lived in New Orleans, OKC,
yeah, similar, right? I guess to a degree.
He's a North Carolina guy.
Well, we know he's not going to Charlotte. Talk about Bill Simmons and who is it that he has on his podcast a lot?
Scylla?
Farmwell, I think. Oh. They went through the worst GM jobs, and they ranked.
Oh yeah, no, that was him and Rusilla.
Okay, it was Rusilla.
Yeah, they do it every Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, worst GM job, and that is up there as the worst GM.
Golly, yeah, Michael Jordan, terrible owner. Hey, they're talking about Michael Jordan selling. Do you think the same way the NBA kind of just stencils him in there as the owner is the same way that they're going to just pull him out? Hey, Mike, it's not working, bro. Do you want us to leak why you left the league? Sell. Yeah, man, this CP3 thing, he's going to go to a contender. I don't see him playing losing basketball. But another point guard who could be on the move is Dame Lillard. Did you see his quotes from earlier this week on a podcast?
I did. And it was interesting because typically, even if asked a hypothetical type question like that, he typically has never really came out and outright said some shit like that, if that makes any sense. And I know that he was asked a question, but he also didn't have to answer it either, for what it's worth. And where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and there's been a little bit of smoke for a while around him and what's going on in Portland. And I think that them getting the 3rd overall pick, they're like, hey, man, we got Simons. We got Sharp. We might go young, man. And what did he say? Miami, obviously, Bam is my dog. Brooklyn is another obvious one because Mikal Bridges is my dog too. I'm like, dang, how are you so cool with these young boys? I mean, I'm not mad at it because Dame's older than us. Mikal Bridges is what, 24, 25? But anyways, I would love Dame in Miami.
It'd be a perfect fit.
Yeah, if they can afford it, like.
Well, Lowry would get sent out. He'd be a part of that, getting sent out.
Yeah, he'll get sent
out by Portland.
Yeah. You got your depth, but depth.
Now you got a bunch of guys that have like created value for themselves. Like Caleb Martin's way more valuable now. He's significantly more valuable because of the playoff run.
And I trust Miami to be able to find stuff that actually works and develop stuff, because what Miami does, unlike most of these other organizations, is they develop talent. They say, hey, here's what you're good at. Here's what I need you to be better at. So they develop them. Whereas it seems to me that a lot of teams expect players to show up, be who they are, and go develop themselves on their own with their trainers and stuff. It's like, nah, man, like I can go become a better basketball player, but am I becoming a better basketball player for this team? I don't know if I sent it to you. Gilbert Arenas had a very, very interesting piece about these draft prospects.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not Wemby, how do you get to tell me that you're not going to work out against other players? Like, how do you say this is going to be my workout? I'm coming in by myself. Like, how does the agents get to do that? You know what I mean? Like, dog, you could go anywhere from 4 to 12. Depends on fit and all this. Like, no, I want to see you compete. Like, me watching you in a workout doing tween dribble pull up, when your first 3 years you're going to be in the corner shooting corner threes. Like, what does that workout do for me? How do I evaluate your intangibles, your competitive nature, when you're not competing against your peers?
Right.
When we're having you work out against an assistant coach who's a washed player or a has-been who never could be, or you're shooting over this 5'8" dude. Like, okay, you shot.
Right. This guy that's in the scouting department's on the court.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, man. I just, and I think I put this in a group earlier this week. I think that Gilbert Arenas should be in a front office because he understands the competitive side of basketball. He's all about taking care of star players in the way they need to be taken care of. Like, hey, dog, like this whole hard practice during the season. Hey, man, I work out on my own for 4 hours a day. I lift on my own. Like, I don't need this hard practice. But at the same time, like I hear him talk about training camp and soft tissue injuries and how, well, yeah, these dudes don't lift. They don't work out. They don't have a training camp to harden their bodies. Like, you need that stuff, So to hear a guy like him say that, someone who also averaged 30 points a game in this league when we were watching rock fights, 85 to 94 type games.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he would be a valuable asset, and a team would be smarter to get him in the building and off of his couch in the media.
And that could be true. And maybe the Wizards are the team that should be looking at him specifically, because they seem like they don't know where they're going with that's another really bad job to have too. Now I think about it.
You think so? You don't want to be saddled with Brad Bill's Supermax?
No, and then Porzingis is a free agent too because he kind of played well enough to somebody's going to pay him.
Probably the Wizards.
Well, right. Well, because they don't really have much of a choice. It's either that or really fall back in being obsolete even more. And you already missed out on the Wemby free sweepstakes, right? So we don't know I don't know who the top player will be. I guess, who knows? Maybe they'll be bad enough to draft Bronny and then get LeBron to come to Washington. I don't know, but
Bron might retire.
Wouldn't it be funny if that's kind of what he did? He based it on where his son got drafted and then was like, yeah, I'm done. Because if Bronny goes to the Thunder, now the thought is that the Thunder won't be picking in the top 10 next year, but
They got all the
Went
traffic.
to like Oklahoma. Could you really see LeBron James going to the Thunder? I know he loves Sam Presti, but like, would he really move to Oklahoma?
Especially if Bronny's a second round pick.
He's not. He's not going to be a second round pick.
You don't think so?
No, I think that there's going to be somebody that takes him no matter what in the first round.
And it has nothing.
I think he could play 6 games in college and he's going in the first round. I do. I think that he could Darius Garland that thing, and he'll still be a first. The real question is he going to be a lottery pick? Yes or no? I think that's the question. But
you want to talk about Zion?
I don't see why not. The Big Easy, huh? That's the way it looks like it is for him.
So we talked about this in pre-production today of how, like, I mean, a couple hours before showtime, like we really got some heat.
Yeah, it was an avalanche of fucking news.
So
messy,
So let me read through some of these tweets for you. Well, we got a young lady sending some screenshots of Zion on Snapchat. Come on, son. DM on vanish mode, like 21. He do that shit a lot. When you move, how much do you expect me to pay you a month? But I'm super excited. So I'm gonna pay for our kid, but like I'm excited, but I'm a paycheck dad. I'm not Jason Tatum and Deuce. No, Jesus. Then he said, "Bet I don't have a girlfriend, but if I moved you to New Orleans, would you be cool with being like my official, I guess, girl? Just asking so I know how to go about the situation with respect." Then we have a follow-up from another young lady. I let you spit in my mouth last week when we fucked. You could have told me you had another whore pregnant. How is that going to work moving us both to New Orleans? You think I would have found out? At Zion Williams.
It's not the same person.
I
thought it was the same person.
It's the same person.
Yeah, I think it's the I forgot her name, Mariah Mills or something.
Mariah Mills. Okay, yeah, it may be. Okay, this may be the same person.
Because who he got pregnant is
it's not her. Yeah, it's another chick.
IG. Yeah.
That he posted. Yeah, so Zion got a chick pregnant. He posted it. Then this other chick that he was involved with, that I guess he was serious with, was upset. And here's what I want to say, man. Without sharing a last name, how serious do you think you are with a max NBA player? A guy who has more colorways and shoes than games played. You know what I mean? How delusional are you to think that you are the one and only?
You know that he's missed more games than LeBron James has his entire career already. It's a true stat. It's so crazy. I couldn't believe it either. Because LeBron's missed quite a few games now here since he's been with the Lakers. He's missed more games than LeBron has his entire career.
That's freaking nuts.
But it still somehow played more games than what Embiid did in his first 3 years.
And I think that Zion's idea was, yes, I could have both of you all in New Orleans, and y'all aren't going to live with me. I will put you guys in separate, nice neighborhoods, and I will make time for you, and I will lie about my whereabouts when I'm not with you. I think it's an easy day. Or I have money, and I don't care.
I'm going to go with the latter. I mean, that was what I thought. I was just like, I think he's just rich as fuck, and it's just like kind of one of those things where, look, just keep fucking me. I mean, I'm going to keep telling you whatever you want to hear, you know?
And the Birkins are still coming. So then I saw a post, Guns and Buns, the South Carolina addiction story. And it's Ja and Zion next to each other. Ja Morant bringing guns into the club, but Zion Williamson's the one shooting clubs up.
it's it's something in that South Carolina water, right? I mean,
Do you just think it's
what are they? They're like Sumner County or something like that.
something like that? Yeah. Do you think it's just these young boys from the country got it, living, and just fuck it? I ain't never did this before. No, I ain't never did this before.
I think I think that is it is. It's literally just that they're guys that have come up on generational type money already in their lives.
Late bloomers.
And yeah, they were both late bloomers. And they're also kind of the toast of their town. I mean, I know that Zion hasn't really played, but obviously when he has played, he's been great. Like he's been great when he's played. Hell, the Pelicans were the number one seed before he went down. I mean, think about that. And so,
Let's. I was gonna take this somewhere else, and I totally lost my train of thought. I'm trying to think, like, what? I mean, like, what do you expect? Like, how? Like,
I expect better than that. I mean, and when I say I expect better than that, I expect, Ja to be smart enough to not pull a gun out on
right?
around anyone anymore after what happened the first time. Fuck if the other guy's his IG. Man,
If you're not,
look at Instagram. There's no phones. Why are you? You know, what I mean, there's just no reason to do it. Anyone could catch you at that point, right? So I think that like that's stupid as hell. And then with Zion, I'm not even really surprised, low key, by that. Like, it's like a pass. It's like a passing of the baton in the NBA when it comes to shit like that. You know?
I just think, you know, they should. Zion should move with more discretion. Uh, I talk about this from time to time in private conversation, but there's a reason why actors and actresses date each other. There's a reason why athletes date other famous chicks and why famous chicks usually date other famous guys. It's not necessarily because they don't have an interest in a normal 9 to 5er, they're above it. It's you understand the lifestyle. You understand the secrecy that's needed here, the discretion, the filter, and all of that stuff. So I just think that Zion being young and green, happy to hit any piece of chunky monkey out there, that he didn't go the hey, I'm gonna hit this Hollywood chick that everybody else is hitting, not because everybody else is hitting, but because she knows the industry, she knows the game, and she knows she gets more by shutting the hell up and leaving me alone in the public eye instead of going out talking, trying to get some fame and some clout. Because I think the chick who went public, she just want more OnlyFans subscribers.
Right.
She just wants like her name to be out there, and it's like, hey, dog, if the woman has something to gain by publicly outing you and you're a public figure, don't touch her.
Right.
Like, we know how many outside of what Brittany Renner and her little tell-all book and Corinne Stephens and her tell-all book, we don't hear the stories about who these guys are really messing with. You got to be able to afford to go to the party to know. Or get you an ironclad NDA.
That's the route that everybody else seems to go, and that's why, LeBron didn't even get married to Savannah until like
Miami.
Yeah. And goddamn well. Goddamn well that this man was out here fucking hoes. Like everybody knows that. Like that's just not a secret. He's young and he was in the NBA. And I think the Savannah knew that too. That the reality was basically from Savannah's end, obviously they had Bronny, but like at the same time, it's more so along the lines of just don't forget about me. because this is a battle I'm not going to win, because I know that you're in the NBA. You're arguably the most popular. You became the top 3 most popular players in the league the moment you picked up a ball and started your first game against the Sacramento Kings. You were already one of the 3 most popular players because you were so goddamn popular when we were in school together. You're gonna fuck hoes because you're gonna be introduced to bitches that look better than me, but that don't mean that you love them.
I saw what you was doing in Akron with them Dutch bunnies.
You're gonna be on the road 50% of the time from October until at the bare minimum May, right? Or the end of April, rather. So we're talking what, 6-7 months? You're automatically going to be on the road half the time.
You're going to be doing Nike stuff in the off season. You're going to be doing USA basketball. Hey, don't come home with anything that's going to ruin this. I think that's the approach that most women should take if they're with a highly successful man. Like, hey, and this is me probably being a toxic man, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't bring anything home or don't embarrass me out in public in a way that you create an issue at home. Don't let what you're doing while you're gone come back into the house.
Yep.
Yeah. We see how Rihanna used to look at LeBron. Coming to Cleveland to watch a basketball game. I can only assume. But you know what Rihanna's not going to do? To get on Instagram and comment under our pictures like, y'all cute or whatever.
She's not going to be visible.
Exactly. And if she's not visible, she doesn't exist.
She's just like any other celebrity.
You know, just like Mario Winans. I used to say Mario Winans was the biggest sucker in the game. But then I got older, and I was like, I mean, he got a point. I don't want to know. If I don't know, it didn't happen.
I don't want to know.
Is there anything else there was something else basketball that happened that I wanted to talk about. It popped into my head.
Hold on, give me 1 second. All I got to do is go back to topics. Let's see.
Well, I didn't have it on the list. It happened this week. You care about Shaq being spotted with Brittany Renner? I don't.
I'm not mad at that, brother. I would hit Brittany Renner too. So I'm a little surprised he's just caught out like that with her. But like outside of that, I mean, am I surprised that he's with her? No, like not at all. This man hit on somebody that we know, and I got to see the messages. So I'm like, so I know goddamn well you're gonna do it with her. I mean, so it's just like,
you see Pete Davidson hooping?
You said who?
Pete Davidson.
I saw it got put in the group. I think you put it in. I did not actually watch it though. He's balling. I mean, he's like, what is he? He's like 6'4".
He can play basketball. He's all right.
He's like 6'4". I mean,
yeah, he's frail.
I would hope that he was putting his height to use when he was in high school.
Lee, are we out of topics? I mean, I know we got some golf stuff we can talk about. You want to talk about golf?
I mean, we could just talk about optically how bad it looks low key, but how much sense it makes too in the grand scheme of things for the PGA and the way that they were just vehemently against this Saudi money and what it's.
Okay, well, Parlay Pete disappeared for a second. Excuse the mess in the back because wasn't expecting for y'all to get a whole full screen shot of me here. Yeah, you get to see some of the magic that goes on back here. But yeah, we're talking about live golf and some of what's happened there and stuff that we may or may not have expected because the PGA got on their high horse about how they didn't want any Saudi money. And I thought it was nonsense from the jump, but I'm also not a moralist, right? So when I hear things like that, I go, okay, everybody has a price. Every freaking body has a price. We can all be bought. You can have the strongest morals, you can have the strongest values, but at the end of the day, like, you can be bought. And we see it every single day. You talk about street culture and, oh, I'm solid, 10 toes down, I'm standing on it. Until they put that time in your face and they say, hey, you say this, you do that, and you can go home and see your kid. We'll give you time served and call it a day. Shout out to Gunner, right? Um, but yeah, the PGA, they're now combining with the Live Golf Tour, and I think it's great. I think that what Live was offering golfers is amazing. The fact that some golfers, were having to pay to play, and if you don't place in a certain part of the tournament, you may not make money that weekend. Why should I not be a salaried player, right? Why should I have to be a independent contractor? So good for the golfers. Why in the world are we treating the golfers this way? They're the star. They're the straw that stirs the drink. And now we got Liv coming in, and the only thing that really sucks are the guys who turned down Liv, who are now going to be involved with Liv. And you could have just done this for a year and some change, and you would have made a shitload more money.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said, it doesn't surprise that they ended up making this thing one of those merger type things, just because they were already taking away so many people that were talented, some of the best golfers in the world, and those guys are just kind of like, well, why can't we just do both? Why can't we do both? And they caved at the end of the day. They wanted the money too. Uh, they want to expand the game, I guess, in a sense, by doing something like this. And it's similar to when the WWE bought WCW, and
Oh God, worst thing that ever happened to wrestling.
Yeah, and now obviously they have AEW. I mean, I don't watch wrestling anymore, and
Man.
But I know that the WWE is not nearly as popular as it used to be, and so,
well, Vince can't write those salacious storylines like he used to. He might get canceled.
You mean the combination of wrestling with Jerry Springer?
Yeah,
because that's pretty much what the Attitude Era was, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I sent that post to the group yesterday about the Generation X talking about Bret Hart and them and the white and the white white sheets and stuff, and then they said the N word,
right?
And Farouk and them just went and took off on them boys.
Crazy. Good time though. Good time.
I'm actually shocked that Vince didn't let him actually say the actual N word.
I mean, he said it.
He did, and John Cena said it,
and that was well after that too. That's
exactly.
We're talking about that's like ruthless aggression era. So,
hey, so you want to see like what all was in this deal? Because I got a screenshot of it.
Go for it. Yeah.
PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and PIF Live Golf Tour to combine commercial operations. Mission to unify the game of golf on a global basis. New collectively owned for-profit entity name to be determined. PIF will make capital investment into new entity to facilitate its growth. PGA Tour will remain as 501c6 tax-exempt organization. You scoundrels! PGA Tour Incorporated retained the administrative oversight of the PGA Tour, including sanctioning of events. Mutually agreed to end all pending litigation between the participating parties. Process to be established for players to reapply for PGA Tour or DP World Tour membership after 2023 season. So what it sounds like is Liv is buying the PGA Tour, but the PGA Tour keeps creative control. Hey, I got this nice plump ass. It's all yours if you got the right amount of money.
1 second, Lee. I got to take this call. 1 second.
All right, no problem. So as he takes that call, let's make this a bigger conversation, right? Let's take it off of golf and let's take it on. We all have a price. And I talked about it a little bit before Parlay Pete left and came, or while he was gone and came back, but we all have a price. Everything is for sale, especially in this great nation that we call America. Everything is for sale. Even if it's not listed, it is for sale. You can be sitting in the house of your dreams. You saved up your entire life. You've invested well. You worked hard, and you've got this house. Somebody says, hey, how much would you want to sell that house for? You say it's not for sale. And then they show up with a Godfather offer, giving you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the worth of that house. You know what happens? You sell it. And then you rebuild it in a better location with better views and better materials. Or you just buy something that's already built, move your stuff over there, and you retire. Who knows? But we all have a price. And when you see people like the PGA, members of the tour, people in the American public with their morals saying, I don't want that dirty Saudi money, but I'm wearing Nikes. I don't want that dirty Saudi money, America. But America is in business with Saudi Arabia. We conduct operations in Saudi Arabia. We have military personnel in Saudi Arabia. We maintain a relationship with Saudi Arabia. Our president meets with the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. And that's why I think it's so important to never, ever get on your moral high horse. Because when you stand on that moral high horse and that price comes and somebody cuts your legs out from under you, you look like a jackass. You lose all credibility that you had before that conversation started. Right? Because you were going to stand on your morals when you should have just stood on your principles, which is money. When you should have just said, hey, at the right price, we can get anything done. I can look past a few things, you know? It's like when you have a job. You cannot like the direction that the company's going in. You cannot like management. You cannot like your coworkers. But if the money's right, you'll probably stay. You're not in a rush to get up out of there because guess what? The things that your desires that you want are being filled from that job. And that's exactly what we saw happen here. Just like so many of us said, we're boycotting the NFL. They did Colin Kaepernick so dirty. But I love watching the game. It's so entertaining. It's so fun. Football's been a part of my life for so long. How can I not enjoy this? Or those who say the NFL got too woke. I can't do it. All right. Sounds good. Or those of you who were upset with Bud Light for partnering with the community to try to expand their customer base. Guess what? It didn't work. But you know what else happened? The InBev stock price dipped and came right back up. Because people like cheap beer, especially when they drink a lot of it. So we all have a freaking price. And for the PGA to act like they are above having a price, even though they are a tax-exempt organization, they treat their golfers like hired hands, independent contractors instead of salaried workers. This is what you get. This is what you get. You can't show me time to time that you're money hungry. And then all of a sudden, the money comes and you're going to turn it down. No, you're just waiting on the right dollar figure. You're losing steam. You're losing popularity. You're losing your best golfers. You don't have Tiger anymore. People like to live, so they're living. But it takes me to another interesting thing, right? I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember which one it was. It was talking about Black America and how so often in Black America we see that our culture doesn't stand on values. We don't stand on principles. We don't stand on morals, right? We say we do. We say we're going to boycott Gucci, and then we go back to wearing it once we see something that we like. And it led me to wonder, do we as Black Americans, Black people in America, are we so quick to sell out because we were sold? Do we look at everything as a transaction because our origin in this country was transactional? I will give you this much money for this person. I will give you this many people for this person. You know, in the industries we tie ourselves to, sports and entertainment, where it's all transactional. It's tying money to a person. And these are careers that were have become very profitable, but those in the arena lack control. Like I was watching Succession the other day, right? I'm late to Succession. Sorry. No spoilers here. But I was listening to Tom talk to Greg about Nero and sports and how the athletes were like forms of slaves that he watched for his own entertainment. And I think about the court jesters coming in to entertain the kings and the royals, right? And the dignitaries, the nobility, you know? And I go, dominate those industries. Now we're handsomely paid for what we offer in entertainment, but we are still slaves to the system. There's not a route of ownership. You don't get to take control of yourselves. You see what happened to Kanye West when he said things that disturbed people. That, oh yeah, he just got his Adidas money, $75 million that were frozen that he could not touch because the entertainer upset the the promoters, right? You know, when you book a show, you can be the biggest act in town, but if the promoter don't pay you, you don't get paid. You got to sue them or fight. So what I was talking about, Parlay Pete, was how the PGA has, you know, had a price that, and they sold out. And by standing on morals, you know, you lose so much of your credibility that once you sell out, because you said it wasn't about the money, it was about this, and this. And then once the money's right, you can look past that, which is, I mean, which we all have a freaking price.
Well, and that's business.
Yeah, like Loader Express could no longer be yours if the price was right.
Absolutely.
And then I talked about in Black America how we are so quick to sell out. We don't mind selling out.
We prefer it.
Yeah. And the question is, does that come from us being sold into American culture that we view life as transactional and trying to get the most bang for your buck because we were swapped, traded, sold for each other? And then you look at like the origin of sports entertainment, the industries that we dominate.
Draft.
You got the draft, but then you also like I was watching Succession and one of the characters talked about how Nero back in the day looked at like sports, right? Going to the Coliseum and stuff is like, yeah, these are slaves like duking it out.
Right.
And then you think about entertainers like the court jester. He was not a well-respected man in town. He was brought in to make a fool of himself to entertain the rich. Well, now we're just rich slaves, right? Rich jesters. And that's what dominates our society. The people, our quote unquote role models, are our best and our brightest, our richest, the most famous. Most of them don't work for themselves. They are still subject to a lot of fucking rules.
Yeah.
Look at John Morant. John Morant is possibly losing a half year of pay, losing endorsement deals for not breaking a law, a bad error in judgment, but
For
at
the
the,
second time.
the second time, at the end of the day, what he did wasn't out of the the recording of it was out of the norm, but him being as rich as he is, going to a strip club with a gun on him, not abnormal.
Right.
Him being in a car with a gun, not abnormal. Now, flashing it and recording it or it getting recorded,
And putting it on social media.
right? That stuff, not great. But the
And
act,
we're not talking about a Laramie Tunsil situation where somebody got a hold of some old video of him and just leaked it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
This is live time. This guy, this is going on in real time, you know, him doing this stuff. Because don't you think it would have been a little different if in that situation, for instance, if somebody had just leaked a video and it could have been from months prior to the strip club incident and they just put it out type thing? I don't think that it wouldn't be as bad. It just would have been like, damn, okay, this is why after he did get caught at that time, like he had to do that. But to do it immediately after and after saying, you know, you're working on yourself, even in your exit presser against the Lakers saying you were a distraction and that you're going to work on that. And then to just immediately, I mean, we're not even talking a week after these guys got bounced. You're caught on tape doing that. And then you were in Atlanta like the night before at a club, like, you know, doing all this crazy shit. I don't know.
You know, I've heard stories that LeBron and D Wade were going crazy in Miami at the clubs. And I remember we were in college. They came through and they hosted a party at a Club Miami. What pictures do we have of that?
None, because they probably weren't allowing it.
Do you think Steph Curry has never gone to a club?
And then let's be fair on this too. Social media wasn't as relevant then either.
No, but
and the different types of wrinkles that are in it, like live was not a thing. I mean, the worst it could be would be on a forum or on like Twitter or something.
Well, even James Harden, who's known to go out a lot, we've seen some James Harden material. Like we've definitely seen footage of James Harden.
Yeah, but it's him with big butts in his face with some hundreds going, or you know.
Yeah, like we've never seen anything terrible, right? Like there's so many athletes, famous people who we know go out. Bro, you live in Atlanta. I've partied in Atlanta. Bro, I saw Drewski out a year ago. He was not as famous as he is today, but he was very much Drewski. Like this is post-pandemic, you know? Like he was out with his guys. He came through. It was when we were at Buckhead Saloon for Halloween. He came through a side door. They got escorted to their section.
Mm-hmm.
They partied. I mean, you kind of see him. I'm sure somebody captured a shot of him, but you didn't see any weed. You didn't see anything else. If there's anything else up there, like he walked away with no damning information that could have fucked up that Google deal he has now. You know?
Yeah.
and he's a comedian,
right? And he will do dumb shit like that. Like
and he can do it, and it probably doesn't mess up his money. So I think what Ja's been doing is so flagrant that stuff has been allowed to get out now. You know, like we heard the Zeke stories, but we still ain't seen what happened. We saw what we saw,
right?
But there's always the talks of, well, nah, Jerry's been doing this, and this to make sure that this, and this doesn't get out. Hadn't gotten out yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I just think the biggest thing for him is it's just the first thing that happened, and then the fact that it was in question of whether he broke the law on the first incident, because that was kind of the big thing too, where they're like, well, what he did was almost could have been a felony, like it was just, and then you start talking about team rules and stuff, NBA rules of how did the gun get there because they're not in Memphis, so even if it is his gun, you're not allowed to carry it on the team plane. So how did it get there? You know, there were a lot of questions. Obviously, alcohol and that being a law in Colorado. There were so many different things around that. and it opened it up to be bigger than what it really was too. But then the second time for it to happen so soon after, and then it just be kind of like, bro, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? It was more so they're making an example out of him. That's what that is. He's just going to be made an example out
of a roster of 15 players, 8 coaches, GM, assistant GM. How many guns do you think travel on NBA planes?
I mean, if we're talking security or something too, I mean, yeah, there's those. I don't think any of the players. I think that the Gilbert Arenas situation was like something that David Stern and them got together and they put together probably to where that became that rule. And if you remember, think about it. Gilbert got suspended the rest of the year. So did Javaris Critton. And Javaris Critton fucking did like murdered somebody or like so.
But the weird and Gil talked about this, and I totally believe it. And Gilbert and Jai, they get lumped into the same thing together because they're players with guns. Niggas who carry guns carry their guns, and their guns are in their car. Their guns are in their duffel bags. Like I assume that there's less guns on planes than there are in locker rooms.
Yeah,
I still think there are guns in locker rooms. I think guns will always be in locker rooms, and the idea that it's weird and it's fishy. Maybe I live in the South and I live in Georgia where you can legally open carry without a permit.
Yeah.
So somebody having a gun in their duffel bag isn't weird to me.
Yeah.
Like countless times, especially before I had the gate code, when I came to your house, I had my book bag, I had my stuff.
Right.
And I said, hey, where's a safe, high place where I can put this pistol?
Right.
I'm not aggressive. I don't fight. Like, I don't take it when we go out. I don't be like, hey,
right.
no, bro, we got to drive so I can have a strap. Like,
right. You just don't know about these niggas these days.
Yeah, like, bro, look here. If we don't carry enough cash, like, y'all gonna rob us for some shoes and a couple gold chains, bro. Like, ain't even no diamonds here, dog.
Right. It's not too much that we could do.
Like, hey, bro, you got it. Like, we don't, when we go out, we don't carry anything on us worth getting shot for.
Right.
All right, so you want to hit this last little, let me see. I know you don't want to touch Azalea Banks because that was disgusting.
She's right. She's really not even worth our time, bro.
Yeah, no, like it.
She's just clearly she's a person, bro, that seeks attention. Like she's an attention seeker. Like
her comments validates what he said to her.
Correct.
Yeah, like don't play. Okay, let me see what else I got on here. Messi's coming to America.
I saw. Did you see the? I think Complex had the visual, but they put his face over Eddie Murphy's on the Coming to America billboard.
I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Here, actually, here I'm gonna put that in the group too.
I think that's great. I'm happy that they were able to broker that deal. And before we saw the details, I said, he's getting more than his salary says. And he's getting ownership in the team. He's getting like a proceed of ticket sales. Oh, I like that.
The TV deal.
Yeah, so he's getting paid his worth. And I don't know if you saw that post of like that one soccer player who's getting paid annually, like the NFL salary cap. And I think what this Messi deal is and what's going on in soccer is showing the value of athletes, and hopefully the athletes in these other sports can come together and actually collectively bargain appropriately so that they get paid what they're due.
Well, and obviously with him, this is the scariest part about his deal, and what makes it so different from Beckham and Zlatan. Like, you know, both of them came over too and were big names in the Premier League, you know, and Spain La Liga and stuff like that. They were big names. But Messi, we just saw this man in the World Cup do what he did. So he can still play is what makes it crazy. And the fact that he's going to be even coming on board this season makes it even wilder. Like, you know, they play here. Miami FC plays Atlanta United in August.
You going?
Yeah, man, and that's going to be first of all, because Atlanta United lost Joseph Martinez, who's been their best player, since the team got started. He plays for Miami FC too.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that was going to be a big game because he's coming home. But now you add in the fact that Messi's going to be at what some consider not even some, the numbers say it, the best soccer atmosphere in the United States. That game's going to be ridiculous.
Random question, but related. Are you going to that Beyonce concert on Friday?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll talk later about that.
Yeah.
You want to close this out with the creep topic from
Yes. Give us some of the research that you got from it.
All right, so let me go back and find the original post and read the answer because I got some interesting stuff from it. All right, so I saw this post and it was, "Dear women, how old were you when older men started approaching you with sexual interest?" And I said, "Oh man, this would be a great topic for the show because we both have daughters, but we're also men who've approached women, and at some degree may have approached younger women. I'm not talking about like disgustingly young. I mean like it's just the first week of school and we're on the promenade because it's a new crop of women out there that we don't know yet. We don't have relationships with them, right? So like let's have a honest conversation about the difference between wooing and the difference of praying and what's the line and like getting into like the nuance of this
conversation. Inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. So then I started getting some responses, right? And some of the ages I got 15, 13. One was like 13, but something happened when I was 7. And another one, 10 and 12. One was middle school, grown-ass men in the mall. Another middle school, 15, 16. Right? So I go, this is weird because it's a blind spot for me because my cutoff always was, were we in high school together? Like, if I came back to Cartersville as a college student, were we in high school together? Are you legal? Well, first, are you legal? That first. Age of consent when I was young in Georgia was 16. Don't know if it's changed.
You could have been a senior dating a sophomore.
Exactly.
And that would have been fine. Exactly.
So that was my frame. Like 16 is legal. If once I hit 18, if you are not 16, I have nothing for you. Then were we in high school together? Because if we weren't in high school together,
you're completely off limits. I don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
You can be 14 and look 20.
Exactly. And then when I get a little bit older, like into like my mid 20s, are you 21?
Oh yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like if you can't go
if you can't go out and go to the bar, then
right. Unless
I want to hang out anyways. What the fuck are we gonna do?
Unless it's like a 23-20 thing and we already have an established relationship, like I've known you and some things like go there. That's one thing. But if you're brand new, like no, if you can't go to the bar, where are we going? We're gonna go grab dinner at 8:00 and hope that
go to a movie.
Yeah, like and hope when it converts to a bar that like they don't check for IDs, No, bro, like I want to drink. So, and then as I even got older into like my late 20s, it's like, yo, it's 25. And there's so many layers to it. Well, maturity. What is our conversation about? Are you comfortable in your body? Because if you're like hey, I need to have the lights off. I don't like seeing myself naked. If you got all like, no, bro, like, do you have experience? Hey, dog, I don't want no virgin. I want to have good sex.
Like, I'm not trying to pop your cherry or leave this mark.
No, and I'm not trying to coach you through how to be good at this. I can coach you through what I like. But like, if you think you got a good mouth, I want you to take control and like not be like, do you like this? You like no. So because I have like those blind spots just because of the way that I carry myself as a man. And don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I've never been like I used to say the worst thing God ever made was an underage baddie. Because you'd be like, hold on, you're what? Oh, girl, you fun to hell. So I'm not coming from it as if somebody who's totally naive and has never been like, oh yeah, she's not pretty because she's underage. Like, she got some ass, boy.
Right.
Well, girl, if you was old enough, But like,
well, we were in high school too, and there were chicks that were super duper developed when we were in high school. So I mean, we know that it's real. That's a real thing to where you could see a 17-year-old that does look 23. I mean, that's
yes.
When I first got to Mount Vernon, there's a girl that I went to school with that looks the exact same today. I mean, she's put on a little bit more weight, but like outside of that, in terms of her look, she looked like a grown woman back then. I thought that she could have been. I didn't think she was somebody's mom because she didn't look old enough to be a middle schooler's mom, but like I easily thought that this was the college sister that's still in town that hasn't went back, that's coming to her freshman sister's orientation or something. And then when we talked, as a matter of fact, she's the first person I met that day. And, I told her my name and I said, and then obviously I found out she was a student and I was like, oh, what grade are you? She said 10th. And I was like, shit, we're in the same grade. Like I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I couldn't fucking believe it. And I still remain friends with this girl to this day. But the point is that even with her, like, she looked like a grown ass woman, bro. Like, and we were 15. So,
coach, I'm ready to play.
Yes, no, she looked.
So then, like, I like started asking like deeper questions. I'm like, so were you actually like approached or just acknowledged, right? Because acknowledging it, you don't know how old she is. It may be from a distance, but then like you approach and it's like, no, man, like I was approached by dudes and I would tell them how old I was. They didn't care. And I'm like, so how, and a lot of the answers were very consistent. I'm like, so how did that play for you moving forward? Like, how did that play with your relationship toward men, your view towards men? How do you view it now as you're older? Because and one was like, yeah, I didn't know that it was bad then because it was the norm. And now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, those dudes are creeps. Happy I didn't do it. Right. Now, one answer I got was from a lady who's not American. Spent some time in the Middle East and Africa, right? Half Kenyan, and like her shit was totally like wild, right? And she was talking about how she, as a young teen, she hung out with guys who were 5, 6, 7 years older than her because that was the social norm. She knew nothing different. But then she found out those guys would bring the girls, it's like the 40, 50-year-olds, and would get paid.
Just Jeffrey Epstein type shit.
Yeah, like they would get paid to bring the young girls around. And a lot of times these guys aren't even trying to fuck them. They just want to get away from their wives and have some young entertainment. And she talked about being so happy that she didn't give in at a young age like some of her friends did because they got trapped in that cycle. And now you are the 18-year-old, once 18-year-old, now 30-year-old mistress of this guy whose mom could have kept you when you were like a little kid type shit. You know what I mean? And she was like, I'm so happy I didn't do it because I was able to break that cycle and get away from it. And I'm like, thank you, because I'm not a creep. Like we all do creepy stuff. Like, and I'm gonna keep like prefacing it with like, bro, we all got skeletons in our closet to some degree, but some ain't that deep. You know what I mean? Like if you dig it up, sure, we can talk about it, bro. Like it, but as a dad, it scares the shit out of me because not that I can't protect my daughter from creeps because, I'm not going to lock you in the house. But just the simple fact that that is the common experience, not the outlier experience. And I'm a guy who hangs out with guys who at some points in their life have had a fair amount of sex with a fair amount of nice looking women, and they're like in the age bracket.
Yeah, and it's just crazy too because by the time we get to that age, you know, you look at that, let's just say based on the age you kind of gave, it sounded like 13 was a popular answer.
Yeah.
You get to that age, you know, my daughter will be, that's 10 years from now. So I'll be 40, right? And, you know, the fact that it'll be dudes that, you know, now, and look, I'm not, because, well, first of all, like you said, you can't keep anyone in a cage. And I don't want to do that either. But there are going to be certain ways where I'm going to limit even that type of exposure to even be a chance for her to be 13 walking around the mall, whether, well, obviously not by herself, but with friends or whatever. Maybe I'm in the mall and I'm like, all right, y'all go head wherever y'all, whatever's going to be the in store at the time, you know, to where y'all go look, window shop, do whatever the fuck I guess teenage girl, little like preteen teenage girls do. And I'm there, but obviously I'm not there because they're going to be somewhere within there. Of course, I'm just a phone call away or whatever. And I know where they're headed because she's going to tell me. But just the idea that there could be another grown ass man walking around that's similar to my age or maybe a little bit younger than me, you know, catcalling and stuff like that. It just, men in general, man, it's pretty fucking sad because, you know, but there's so many niggas that are just going to be getting turned down where they think that that's like their only option and their only way of going about things too, because there are women their age that don't want to do shit with them. So at that point now they got to try and find somebody that don't know that don't know, you know?
And I think that's what it is. It's the guy who can't fuck an 8 in his peer group. So you start dropping down peer groups.
Yeah.
And you become so much more impressive because of the information that you have. Like, imagine us going back to walk through Spelman one day, right? With what we know now, how easy would it be to go and kill and go crazy?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be what do they call them? Imagine a petting zoo, but for hunting.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's like
lay out the feed, and the animals are gonna come because the feed is there no matter what. They're easy kills.
now imagine you drop that in the locker room. Dog, bro, I just went crazy at Spelman. You're getting clowned.
Well, because right, the question is, for one, what the fuck are you doing at Spelman? Let's just start there. Why are you at Market Friday? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing up? You don't work up there, so what are you doing?
So you're bragging about getting some 20-year-old ass? Bro, we're 30.
Yeah.
Again, it's not against the law, but it is a behavior that
it's against man code.
Right. It's way more sick to be 30 looking for 20-year-olds than it is to be like 20 and fucking a 17-year-old. And in some states, that's illegal. But like, y'all are peers. Y'all are 3 years apart. Y'all don't know shit about shit. I don't know. You're 30 and with an established career.
Right. You got a whole decade.
Not you were at homecoming and you just met a cute girl and y'all caught a conversation and shit happened.
You just so happened to have been
a senior, you know?
Yeah, and you didn't know. I mean,
she was at the club.
Right.
At the club. So she went to the alumni party instead of the student party, right?
Right.
It was like, hold on, I'm an alum. Not like a fresh out alum. Because I get if it's your 1 year or 2 years out, you go to senior, we can go to stuff like that because your people are there.
Right. Like you said, we go to school together.
Right. Like you're us. Yeah. Imagine us going to Coronation Ball, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Kids look like babies almost in a weird way. Like two.
No, you remember where I lived at in San Diego, like right by SDSU.
Mm-hmm.
I moved into that apartment at 23. And I would like go around, like, you know, I would hang out, like I would hoop on campus, go to the corner store, sometimes just walk around and stuff, right? And I went to a party or two like on campus, like in my first year there.
Yeah.
I remember I'm at a party one time.
You could have easily been a grad school student too, though. Like that, like there's so much layer with that. Yeah.
I'm at a party one night, and you know, I don't know these people. We see some people partying. We got beer and liquor. We're like, hey, yo, can we come through? Like, bet. Then it gets to a point they're like, we're out of liquor. We're out of beer. Can somebody go get some beer? I'm like, yeah, bro. I got some money if I want to go get it. Like, you got a fake? I go, bro, I'm 24.
Right.
I'll just go. What do y'all want? I'll just go get a 30.
Right.
Like, it's no big deal.
Right.
Like at that moment, I go, I'm not gonna move because this apartment is cheap and big. But I'm done over here.
Right.
I can't be around people looking like, how are we gonna get booze?
Yeah, that's taking a step back in life. I mean,
and then like I'm sitting there like, well, if this party gets busted and they pull IDs, I become responsible
for supplying liquor to underage.
And I had no idea. I ain't asked no question. I just saw people drinking, partying, and showed up, right? And I go, yeah, nah, dog, it ain't like that. And I was even talking to some people at work, and they were talking about some, yeah, dog, Albany State, we can go over there. And I said, hey, man, you're 25. There's nothing on that campus for you. Like, sure, there are some older students, non-traditional students there, but dog, you're 25. Go to the bar. Get the fuck off of the college campus. So to tie it back into parenthood, I think it's important to open up lines of communication so that our daughters feel comfortable talking to us about stuff like that. And then we tell some of those truths about ourselves that their mothers may not want to hear about us or them know about us.
Right.
The child know about us. To when you gotta let the child know that, like, hey, I'm hip. Like I some of the guys you like, I was like him when I was younger.
Right.
But let me tell you a little something so you can best take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm 100% with you. It's just going to be one of those things where topics like this, it makes you're aware that stuff was kind of going on, just because it's just, that just for whatever reason, that is just the way that this kind of is, and it shouldn't be that way. But like, I think that it's happened to so many is really where it kind of comes in, because I don't know. I'm an adult. I'm at that age now, and I just have no fucking interest whatsoever. Like, I mean, I have an 18-year-old niece, and her little friends have come around too, and like, I don't have any interest in looking at them in any type of way. Like, you know what I mean? Or making any sexual innuendo type comment. Like, no.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
no. Like,
weird. I remember
I got too much ass waiting on me, like, downtown. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't.
Bro, I said this one time, and maybe we bleep it, but I said, I'll never understand a rapist, right? Like, fuck him being a creep, all that other shit, right? It's not good sex. Like, why would you knowingly have bad sex? Like, if my wife,
knowing that it's a crime, and it's like, you can easily go to jail for this for a long time.
Oh, if my wife's not in the mood, and I know that because we're married, like, you give in sometimes just to make your partner happy. If she's not in the mood, I'm like, all right, no, it's okay. Like, I don't want to have sex if you don't want to have sex. Or like, if we're arguing some shit and it's like, oh, let's have some makeup sex. If her head's not in the mood for makeup sex and my head's not, I don't want to have not fun sex.
Yeah.
Like, I remember telling her before we got together, yo, I'm tired of having meaningless sex. Like, it's not even bad sex. It's just like, I banged you, and are you putting your? Are you? Why are you still here? It's been 10 minutes.
Right.
I wanted to. You get to a point where some of us get to a point where you want it to mean something, and however it gets there. So like, saying all that to say, man, like, it's some creep stuff going on out here. And I think as men, we should talk about it more because it's more common than we think, because we just think about our circles. And some of the behavior is acceptable, in circles. And you need to check dudes to be on that creep shit. And then for some of us who are just upstanding guys, like, we're not creeps, so we don't think about that creep shit.
Yeah.
And if we talk to women who inform us about the creep shit, like, we'll never know.
Wouldn't know at all.
Anything else you want to tie onto this before we close this bad boy out?
We can put a curtain on it.
All right, man. It's fucking great. I'll see you in about less than 48 hours. Probably about 30-something hours. I don't feel like doing math.
About 40.
40, yeah.
Close to 40. Something like that.
Yeah, I'll hit up Boink. I got his address if you need it, just in case.
Yeah, if you could go ahead and send that to me now, because then that way I can kind of figure out. Because if he's not able to get me, I'll ask him and see like, are you busy at that time or whatever. And then if he is, either way, I can Uber. Like that's not a big deal anyway. So that way we can get everything kind of our ducks in a row. Because it sounds like me and you. I mean, Josh is the only other person flying. Everybody else is there. So I guess we'll figure out if they're busy, if they're working Friday, or how that's going to work for them on Friday.
I'll tell you what, though. I'm not doing what we did for the last bachelor party.
What's that?
You know, me and Boink did the grocery store run, and then me, you, and Boink did the liquor store run.
Right.
Now I'm waiting on niggas.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Oh, yeah, because, you did that other party, too. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Now, these niggas going to pay.
Yeah, no. It's a group effort.
Exactly. All right, Parlay P, man. Good talking to you, dog. Enjoy.
As always, AC Lee.
All right.
Like I said, I'll catch you in 40 hours.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Yep.